Here we go.
From the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, it is the much-anticipated return of the Confirmed Epic podcast, where we are indeed a bunch of a-holes. So, joining me today is
Andrew Stokes,
also known as
Andrew Stokes.
And I, of course, am the real Brad Bell. Jerry Reed couldn't be here today. Evan Truelove couldn't be here today. And if you've clicked on the epicreview.com in the past couple weeks, you may have realized that none of us could be there for many days. The reason is personal journeys, kids, new homes, moving, wedding planning, an insane amount of stuff.
I got none of that stuff going on.
Andrew just decided not to post anything.
When do I ever post anything?
Well, you did that. What was it? Top 10 video games.
In like February of 2013, I posted one article.
I'm just going to open this up with a little bit of housekeeping business, at least for my end. Obviously, I can't.
All right, play the housekeeping soundbite.
Which we do not have one. Which I'm going to embrace the podcast audience fully here. I've noticed that even though we haven't been doing a podcast the past couple of weeks, you guys have listened heavily to the Planet of the Apes podcast, which we greatly appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
And from my end of things, right now, I can pretty much only handle a podcast. Probably about 2-3 podcasts a month, depending on what movies come out that month. And I love hosting the podcast. It's my most passionate thing that we do. The podcast is probably the thing that I enjoy doing the most.
Definitely.
Whereas you guys know Barbecue 17 really digs the toy review thing. So I'm not saying that there won't be any new content on the epicreview.com, because I'm sure once Halloween rolls around, Barbecue 17, the day after Labor Day, we'll have Hokey Halloween Horror again. And we'll always post some things from time to time. But right now, at least from my end of the things, I'm going to be focusing on the podcast. So I just wanted to let you listeners know that. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you downloading, click and play, and coming to our site, and even just checking for new content. So let's go ahead and get things started today. Andrew Stokes, let's get into what we've been checking out this week.
Checklist? Check. Double checking of checklist? Check.
This started with what we've been checking out. Evan Truelove and I had the opportunity yesterday to travel to Charlotte, North Carolina, the big city of the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina.
Big Apple, I think they call it, right?
No, wrong city. Well, they're in Raleigh.
Windy City.
So we got to see Richard Linklater's Boyhood. For those of you not familiar with Richard Linklater, he's the guy who directed the Before series, Before Sunset, Before Midnight, all those great, supposedly great, I hadn't seen them, Evan Truelove swears by them, love stories. But Boyhood, one of the most hyped movies of my lifetime. I was about to say this year, but I'll say of my lifetime from critics, Andrew, because Evan read a quote from me off of his smartphone before we went and saw this movie that proclaimed it the best film of the 21st century. Well, the 21st century is not that old.
Nope.
But come on, that's hefty praise.
Yeah.
All right,
Put it up against the likes of Dodgeball and other greats.
Exactly. The Dark Knight, great Christopher Nolan films. Tarantino films, yes.
Some Scorsese films.
Great. There's been a ton of great films.
I'll be honest, I had not heard about this movie until you said you were going to go see it.
So, I'm trying to explain this to Andrew the same way I'm going to explain to it as you guys. Basically what they did, Linklater filmed a child from about when he was in 4th grade to when he was entering his freshman year of college. And it was the same actors that played the family members, and they would film a little bit at a time. And what they said was, however, this kid, it's not real because the kids, it is acting. It's not like they're just filming the kid's life like for some kind of, biography or something like that.
Fake.
Yeah, it's fake. But in a way, it's not fake because they catered it toward the type of interest the kid had. So he said if the kid would have ended up loving football and being the star quarterback for his high school team, the movie would have been about football. It would have been closer,
Friday Night Lights sequel.
Yeah, closer to Friday Night Lights. But it just happens that the kid, I wouldn't call him a major geek. He's big into music, but he likes Star Wars. He likes Batman. In fact, there's a point where he discusses with his dad, who's played by Ethan Hawke, who's also worked with Linkwater in the Before series, where they're discussing, this is like 6 years ago they were filming this, what would a new Star Wars be like? Mm-hmm. With no idea that, and a lot of people who go see this won't realize that how this was shot, with no idea that J.J. Abrams would be directing a new Star Wars movie. So this is ambitious, to say the least. This thing's at 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people are calling it the favorite for Best Picture, even though it came out during the summer.
Right.
They're saying that, maybe Interstellar right now because Gone Girl, obviously, with Ben Affleck.
Ninja Turtles hasn't come out yet. So
and Ninja Turtles doesn't come out the next week. Expendables 3. And, hey, Guardians could be a dark horse at this point, at least for Best Soundtrack, you know. But it has to be an original soundtrack, which none of that was for Guardians. But Andrew.
Yeah.
And I was surprised from Evan hearing this. We were both very underwhelmed by Boyhood. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes. They said, you will laugh, you will cry. Look, I'm an easy crier in movies. Mm-hmm. I'll admit, I'll well up in a good superhero movie. If something means a lot to me, I'll well up. But not one tear
Did you
in
laugh?
my eye. I didn't really laugh.
Oh, wow.
I didn't laugh at all. And Evan and I were discussing this. They were like, maybe it's because the way everybody has an idea of childhood by remembering their childhood and based off of their experiences and the things that they like.
A lot of TV for me, mostly.
A lot of Evan, too, a lot of TV. Maybe it's just we've been, our childhood, we look back on us nothing but Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers.
It was a great childhood.
Yeah, so maybe our version of Boyhood would suck and nobody would want to watch that.
Well, I mean, we'll see next weekend when Ninja Turtles comes out.
Yeah, that may be more interesting, but I'm watching this, and it is ambitious. It is an accomplishment. It looks great. The acting is great, but it's just, I guess Evan's point was if it would have been closer to the type of childhood I had, I would have liked it better, which isn't fair because I'm saying to Evan as we're having this conversation, there's somebody out here that relates to this kid so much better than we do, being film geeks or whatever.
Sure.
And there's some music artsy person who is this kid in a way, and I can see how that could be emotionally gripping or touching. It's just a movie that has this much critical hype. I have not been underwhelmed this much, probably ever. I mean, Spectacular Now had a lot of hype last year. It ended up being my favorite movie of the year.
But you did like it.
I liked it. I would give it a good and a half.
Okay.
Good and a half.
Confirmed good and a half.
Confirmed good and a half, but I expected nothing less than great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is this something you would ever be interested in seeing, Andrew?
Sure. I mean, it sounds interesting. I always like to see the films that are, people call shoo-ins for Best Picture and stuff. I always like to check those out. Even if some of them, I don't know, you got to take a risk sometimes. Like, you'd be surprised.
Oh, we took a risk. We drove an hour there and paid $10 to get into this ritzy theater.
But I'm just saying, you never know what movie can really strike you. 2 hours and 45 minutes is a bit of a commitment.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'd be willing to check it out, probably. I haven't even seen a trailer, though, so I'd probably see a trailer first, depending on, because you guys were kind of lukewarm on it, so I don't know if I want to dedicate the time to it or not.
The best part about this film, to me, is Ethan Hawke. He plays the dad, and obviously his parents split up early on in the film. That's not a big spoiler. In fact, trailers reveal that. And what Ethan Hawke puts into that character, wow. He stole the show. I was more interested in seeing Ethan Hawke's growth as somebody who wasn't ready to be a parent to somebody who 20 years later comes into their own, or I guess 12 years later comes into their own in being a parent. That was just a more interesting journey to me. And by the way, we're doing this show tonight without internet access. We have a smartphone, but I don't have the immediacy of Wikipedia here. But
it's horrible. Like living in the dark ages.
It's like in the dark ages. But his sister in that film, which I don't know the actress's name, but she was such a full and fleshed out character, so much more than I felt like the main boy was. So I don't know. Check out Boyhood. It's worth renting, where you can pause it about 3 times and take a lunch break, a dinner break, and maybe a brunch break.
Where does the film take place?
It takes place in Texas. They go back.
Oh, really?
They go between Austin. They go to Houston.
Oh, Austin. Okay, makes sense.
The home of Mondo Gallery, which
Home of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, which Mondo did a poster for Boyhood. Andrew Stokes.
That's me.
Enough about Boyhood. Check it out if it's something you're
Let's
interested
talk about
in.
womanhood.
Let's talk about something that you've been checking out this week.
I have finally been checking out Season 3 of Legend of Korra.
And this is something, you love Legend of Korra. You love the Airbender series. And
Yes.
hadn't you been waiting on your sister and nephew to check this out?
Well, the problem was at first, Nickelodeon, normally what they do is, I'm one of those people that don't have cable. I live off of Netflix and Hulu and stuff, and Legend of Korra is one of those shows where I just gotta subscribe to it via a video service, and I normally choose Amazon. And for some reason, Nickelodeon wasn't putting the episodes out. They were airing them, but they weren't putting them out to purchase. And so they had some problems with the ratings, and rumor had it that that's one way they were trying to get ratings up, was to not, release it any other way. But of course, I'm not going to buy cable just for one Nickelodeon show, no matter how good it is.
And you've had this problem with ABC in the past. Is it ABC that doesn't release their stuff it's not easy? Or CBS?
CBS
with How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, and I think with some of them, you need to use their online service, which I believe is free. You still need
some kind of subscription to a DirecTV or Comcast or
but
Time
Survivor
Warner
I
Cable.
watch. Maybe if I really wanted to, I could have watched it. But the problem was, some of those shows I'm always behind.
Yeah.
Because I have to wait for the DVDs to come out or Netflix to get them or something. I'm not one of those people. I don't like to torrent shows. I like to support the people who are making the shows, but CBS just kind of makes it hard sometimes to support them. But
back to Korra.
Legend of Korra. Finally started watching, but yeah, so it took a while for them to come out for me to purchase. And then I was waiting for my nephew he spends the summer with his dad. I was waiting for him to come around. Promised him I'd wait to watch them with him. And so we finally got to watch them. Watch the first 4
Richard
episodes.
Linkwater was there filming Boyhood 2, which is Andrew's nephew.
Yeah, definitely.
All around. All right, go ahead.
But I mean, it's really good. It's if you've been keeping up with it, I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't. But the book 3, because they call the seasons books. Book 3's title changes, and if you've been following, you know what happened at the end of book 2. That some serious changes happened to the entire world that these characters inhabit, and it's really interesting, man. Legend of Korra is different from Avatar: Last Airbender. It's a different kind of feel to it.
And don't dismiss it because it's a Nickelodeon show.
Don't tell them not to dismiss it. You don't dismiss it. When was the last time you watched it? Never?
But I'm not an Airbender fan.
Wait, did you ever watch an episode?
I seen the movie, and that was enough for me.
My God, it's horrible.
No, it's not that.
That's like watching the Star Wars holiday special and be like, I'm never watching Star Wars. That was horrible. Like seriously.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm telling you, this is The Last Airbender is talking about, what they said about Boyhood. One of the best TV shows that's been on in the 21st century.
I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I've heard a lot of people say it's unfair for me to judge that series off the film.
It is, completely unfair. And the series is just so good. If you've never watched Avatar: Last Airbender, just watch it. The first season, if you watch the first season, you're going to think, this is a good cartoon. It's a cartoon. It's good. It's above average. But, it's an enjoyable cartoon. But you may not think, well, what's all the hype about? This is good, but what's the hype about? Then you start season 2, and you can tell that season 1 was a hit. They put more money into it. I mean, just the storylines, the characters.
It's one of the most popular shows on Nick by far.
It should be one of the most popular shows on TV.
A lot of people love it. There's so many podcasts and websites just dedicated to this show.
But Legend of Korra, the season 3, that's the problem, is the ratings are going down. I don't think people like Legend of Korra as much. I like it, but like I said, it is different. It definitely has a different feel to it. One of the things is, in Avatar: Last Airbender, you basically have this overall through the entire series. It's almost one big story where you have like the same kind of nemesis. Like they may add like a people here or there, but yeah, the whole time you kind of have this common goal through all 3 seasons. And Legend of Korra is different. Like they have like a new bad guy each season, a bad guy or a bad girl each season, a new plot each season. I like it, but it's definitely different. I think it's turned some people off. I think it's a more mature show than The Last Airbender for sure.
Well, the reason I made that Nickelodeon comment was because I just finished, actually this morning, I had to catch up. I finished the 3rd season of Nick's Ninja Turtles show.
Oh, they're on the 3rd season already?
I believe it was the 3rd season. 2nd or 3rd season. I believe it's the 3rd season.
I'm pretty sure it's 2nd season.
2nd? Okay, maybe I'm behind. Again, no internet right here, so Andrew may actually look that up on his smartphone. But I finished the season. Yeah. And it was just the finale with, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was...
Splinter dies.
No, it revolved heavily around Karai, if you're familiar with that TMNT character, and how they handled that, and ultimately where they went with that character and have been building for this entire, 20-plus episode season. It was a decent payoff, and it teased a lot more to come. So they can be mature on their shows. While Andrew looks up what season Nickelodeon TMNT show is on, I'm going to move into something else I finally got. That was season 2, so I apologize. I got ahead of myself by a year. I watched the season 2 finale of Nick's TMNT. There are a lot. It feels like 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. But, Andrew, I finally got a chance to check out a film that I believe we both had when we did our show on top 10 most anticipated films of winter and spring of this past year.
Pompeii.
Not Pompeii, which I believe is out now. I saw Nonstop.
That's not Nonstop?
That was not the film. But
should I keep guessing?
I want to talk about both of them. The film is Transcendence.
Oh,
but
right.
Nonstop. I got to watch Nonstop this past week. Been watching a lot of movies on Redbox. And a lot of people crapped on Nonstop. They said it's a terrible bottle movie. Liam Neeson is just, half of a performance of a Taken movie and whatnot. I'll be honest, I don't know if I was a sucker for this film, if I was just in the mood for that type of suspense, thriller, boredom, whatnot. But man, I was on the edge of my seat for all of Nonstop. It's very rare that a film like that can keep me guessing the entire time, especially one that I've heard, which is very run-of-the-mill or generic. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like a whodidit thing. And the whole time, it throws you off so much. It's just, it is a bit like a procedural in that it lays everything out, lays out multiple suspects, and twists everybody around and makes you think it could be every possible person until it concludes.
Right.
But so I see where it could be a bit didactical or procedural, but it does the job. Entertaining flick. If I'd went and saw it in the theater, I would have felt like I got my money's worth, especially for a February movie, which is when it came out.
I want to see. I wonder if it's streaming somewhere.
I would confirm it great. Confirm that great. But Transcendence, that's the one I want to talk about, which isn't at Redbox yet. I had to order that one on demand. And this is the directorial debut of Wally Pfister, which is Christopher Nolan's cinematography guy for everything Nolan's done pretty much. All the Dark Knight movies, Inception, everything, Memento. And you expect this movie to look beautiful because the guy at least knows how to shoot a scene. Well, the movie looks okay, so it's a bit underwhelming considering it's Wally Pfister. However, I watched this movie. Mm-hmm. Great cast. You got Johnny Depp. You got Rebecca Hall. You got
Johnny Depp.
You got Paul Bettany, who's going to play the Vision, plays Jarvis.
Oh, right.
Voice of Jarvis. And I'm sitting there watching it. First, and I've heard this movie is terrible, right?
Yeah, I've heard really
19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
For our list, I think it was number 1 or number 2 for me. While I'm not watching it at all, just because it got panned.
Yeah, and you struggle with that because sometimes, for whatever reason, there's a film you really want to see, but you don't get to see it in theaters. And by the time you get the chance to see it, everybody has crapped on that movie.
Right.
And you're like, I'm just not going to watch it.
Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah.
I really, we did our top 10 for the summer. I really wanted to watch all top 10 of them. One of them was just kind of a little more obscure. I knew it probably wouldn't come around here.
The Double.
But then Million Ways to Die in the West, it just did not get good reviews. So I'm still gonna see it. But
that kind of happened with me in Transcendence. It was I believe it came out
same
like
thing for me.
the weekend before Spider-Man came out, so it was like an onslaught of summer movies. I'm like, I just don't have time to see or money to see Transcendence right now.
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta say, hey, I wanted to see this movie. Let me be the judge for myself. Mm-hmm. You gotta make that call, which I'm sure you'll probably do eventually for A Million Ways.
Yeah, I'll eventually check it out for sure. Well, I say that. I still haven't watched Ted.
Oh, you need to watch Ted. Ted's a great movie.
I'll
great,
definitely watch it before
R-rated comedy. Yeah. I will say, I watched Transcendence. First hour, great. Depp is good. It's good to see Johnny Depp in a film where he's not parading around in like extreme makeup like Sweeney Todd or Pirates of the Caribbean
or
Lone Ranger.
Thank you.
Tonto, he played Lone Ranger. So it's cool, but of course about 45 minutes in, he's behind a computer screen, so I guess it's not all really Johnny Depp for too long. And that's in the trailer too, so not spoiling anything there. First hour, great. And it's all about this idea of transcendence that AI is going to become self-aware. Basically, it's a boring version of Terminator. So... an hour in, I'm loving this movie. I'm like, man, these guys were off base with this. 30 minutes in, things get a bit shaky. An hour and 30 minutes in, things a bit shaky. I'm talking the last 30 minutes, it's like they did not even have an ending. They couldn't with the script. It was just everywhere. And all of a sudden, this movie that had established that, all right, this is what's believable in this world, which was unrealistic but tempered, was just crazy. Just like, this could never happen in this world. And it's just, I don't want to spoil it. I want to say it so bad, but I'm not going to.
So they basically Transformers 4'd it. Started really good, started with a lot of promise, and it just got crazy, and there's too much stuff going on at the end.
Well, it got crazy, and there was too much stuff, but Transformers 4 was just so crazy. I don't know. It is a very interesting comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I've only seen one of those
movies. It is a little bit like Transformers 4, but
the names are even similar.
Rebecca Hall is good. Morgan Freeman's in this. He's okay. Cillian Murphy, who played the Scarecrow as the FBI agent in this, he's okay. I love Paul Bettany in this movie.
I feel like I watched him in something recently.
He's in Red Eye. He's in Inception. Didn't y'all just watch Inception?
Yeah, Inception. Okay, that's what it was.
And so I was, it was, Paul Bettany's performance was almost worth watching it. I can't wait to see this guy play the Vision in Avengers 2. He's a very talented actor, and I just got a lot more than I was expecting there. So I think that's going to do it for what we've been checking out, Andrew. Let's go ahead and move into epic news for the week. Obviously, this is our first episode of the podcast post San Diego Comic-Con 2014.
Did that happen? I didn't realize.
That happened, and so this is our first chance to talk about all the cool stuff that happened. And Andrew Stokes, I believe, we're not going to have time to talk about everything. We're just going to kind of nitpick on some stuff that we're particularly looking forward to from Comic-Con this year, things that's upcoming. But Andrew Stokes, what did you enjoy the most about this year?
We're going to start off talking.
SDCC.
Going back to what I've been checking out is the Season 3 of Legend of Korra. Early on in San Diego Comic-Con, before they had their Legend of Korra panel, it was announced that Nickelodeon, again, Korra was having ratings issues, was being pulled from the air. And, of course, fans, that's... Man, there's very devout fans.
They started bending all over the United States.
That's not what they did, but all right. But it was a big deal. They quickly, said, "Hey, don't worry, we're putting them up on the website. We're releasing them digitally now," which is I'm not sure, but Nick, I don't follow Nick that closely, but I don't know if this is the first time Nick's done something like that, where they're just kind of premiering it on Nick.com. It's very interesting. But then they had the panel, and the people basically said, "Hey, don't worry. The Season 3 is coming out. Season 4, the animation is almost completely done. Like, Season 4 is happening. So, and that was, we were only supposed to get up to Season 4 anyway. So, it looks like we're good. It was a scary time there for a minute. But, I mean, it looks like we're good. We're going to finish it
So
out.
everything's a go for the finish Legend of Korra.
Everything's good. Avatar had a lot of following. Avatar Last Airbender. But that was kind of, when that came out, it was kind of pre this DVR, watching things online. You know what I mean? It was kind of like right before that time. And so with Legend of Korra, they have a big presence online. Like somebody like me, who I buy the show online. I don't watch it on Nick. I don't have cable. So, a lot of their fans are like that. And so it's just kind of like changing of the times, basically. It wasn't, as Nick said, hey, the show's not getting the ratings when you take it off the air, but, we're still committed to getting it finished up, getting it wrapped up, because we know there's fans out there. We know people are going to support this. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so if you're a Legend of Korra fan, you got nothing to worry about. And if you're not a Legend of Korra fan,
so basically,
go become one. Like,
they
go watch
gave
the show.
everybody a good scare at Comic-Con. Basically, what Nickelodeon or Paramount.
Because it had been leading up for a
did.
while. It had been leading up to this for a while. Like, we knew the ratings were low. And then when they said they're taking it off the air, people got scared. Scary times.
All right. I'm going to just move into the biggest thing out of San Diego Comic-Con. Andrew Stokes, I don't think you got a chance to see this. But this was the Batman versus Superman, basically a teaser,
No, I didn't see it.
teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to describe the footage, which is darn near impossible to find online.
I'm pretty
Warner
sure
Brothers has pulled a lot of these.
And I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, this is not necessarily footage that will be in the movie. It was kind of like, I don't
Showing
want to
what
say
they
test
can
footage,
do.
but yeah, basically.
Well, there were two big things. We're going to talk about both. There are two big things that came out of this movie coming out May 6, 2016 from Zack Snyder. And that is, first, they showed Gal Gadot in full Wonder Woman costume. They revealed a character poster of her in the Wonder Woman costume. A lot of people, I thought it looked fine. A lot of people took serious offense to this because with the lack of red and I guess the lack of blue that was in the costume, it was mainly Andrew's pulling it up on a smartphone, I believe. Yeah. But it's basically a majority gold costume. I mean, to me, you know what I thought when I saw this, Andrew? What? We had this conversation, Andrew and I, back when the first Amazing Spider-Man came out. How we thought that suit in the Mark Webb film didn't look bad. It just looked like, hey, here's the movie version of the suit. Kind of like how, if you watched Power Rangers as a kid, you saw the suits on TV every day, and then you saw the movie suits, which looked a little bit cooler, but I don't say they're off-putting, but they didn't maybe fit well with you because you were so used to those Monday through Friday suits, if you will. Same thing as the feeling I get with the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman costume. It's not bad. It's actually pretty good from a production value standpoint. It's just different. It looks like Wonder Woman. I've seen some people comparing her to Xena, which I believe this doesn't look like Xena at all.
I get some Xena vibes from it.
She does have the crown, the Amazonian crown. I know
it's a tiara. Come on,
tiara. Sorry,
but, she has the gauntlets and everything.
She doesn't have the lasso of truth. She has
at least
sword.
with her.
Yeah, at least with her.
I don't know. The picture's pretty dark.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. There's a lot of destruction in the background.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you with not that this is connected to Dark Knight, but you see where DC's going with Dark Knight, with Man of Steel. You know where they're going. You know what I mean? Superman suit wasn't exactly Superman. That is instantly recognizable as Wonder Woman, though.
They're gonna Nolanize everything, even without Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, that's the gritty Wonder Woman right there. She looks badass, man.
It's almost the opposite. We're gonna talk about Guardians of the Galaxy later in our featured review, but it's kind of the opposite. What DC's doing is Marvel's a little bit light, fluffy. And then they kind of, I'll say, Nolanize again, make everything gritty and darker. And some people complain to characters' detriment because Superman's not a gritty or dark character historically. I will say here with Gal Gadot, one thing I'll say about this is if you're familiar with her from the Fast and Furious films, beautiful woman, but she's very, very skinny. Mm-hmm. And I thought about her as Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. I've been saying Gal Gadot. I apologize. Okay. Gal Gadot is a very skinny woman from the Fast and Furious franchise. If you see her in those movies,
Who is she?
she's tall. She's the guy from Tokyo Drift. His girlfriend, I believe, in the Fast movies. What's his name?
My favorite Fast and Furious film. I can't remember.
Yeah, she's not in Tokyo Drift. She's only in the last couple. But
the Asian guy that was also in. Okay.
And it's Gal Gadot again, not Gil. Now, Gal Gadot, she's really filled out for this role. She's bulked up. She's been hitting the protein shakes.
So she really Chris Pratted herself.
Yeah, she Chris Pratted herself all over this Wonder Woman role. I'm telling you, she looks good in the outfit. But, it's a lot of times with these costumes, you really have to see them in context.
Oh, yeah.
See how they work with the background. See how they work within the world that they're creating. Is this believable with the world building Zack Snyder is creating? I believe probably so.
I remember some of the Thor footage or stills that were kind of unofficial ones that kind of
From the first Thor?
From the first Thor, and people were like, oh, my God, like this looks horrible, looks plastic, everything doesn't look good. And it looked fine in the movie.
It did look good in context, but let's get to the meat of the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Comic-Con conversation. I'm going to just describe the trailer. You probably read it a million times now. It's dark. It's raining. There's some very brooding music playing.
It's a dark night.
It is a dark night. Eyes start glowing in the background. And then you see the bat symbol come on. And then, walking from behind the bat symbol is Batman in the full armor, which he uses to battle Superman. I mean, it looks like it's directly from the pages of Frank Miller's Batman classic, The Dark Knight Returns. Then, all of a sudden, Batman looks up, looks at the new fat bat symbol. It's kind of a fat bat symbol now. And Superman comes through the bat symbol. He starts to levitate. Batman's looking up at him. He's levitating down. The eyes are glowing red. And Hall H in San Diego goes, Batsy. They literally go crazy. And I will say, first time I've seen Batman in any type of film post-Nolan, aside from seeing that picture of Ben Affleck, of Batfleck. And, man, it looks like it's going to be entertaining to watch. Even if the film is maybe not the most fulfilling from a character, critical, or story standpoint, I know at some point during this movie, I'm going to get to see Batman and Superman go at it. And it's going to be, at least in the vein, eerily similar to Frank Miller's classic, which there's been many Batman-Superman battles, but that is the definitive one.
Hopefully not too similar to that.
It won't be identical for sure, I don't think, but I'm really stoked about this.
Are you officially stoked?
But you didn't see the trailer.
No.
But basically,
I've seen stills from it.
You've seen stills, you've heard my description, which is pretty close to what you would read on any entertainment website describing this thing.
Right.
What do you think about this, Andrew? Are you more excited, less excited, still just patiently not optimistic?
Yeah, no, it doesn't do one thing for me either way, I don't think. Like, maybe if I saw the footage, but I mean, it sounds cool.
You like Batman, but you're not as big of a Batman fan. Like, I'm not trying to call you out, but you have not read The Dark Knight Returns.
No, completely no.
No, he needs to read that. I think most of our listeners would agree. They're like banging their head up against the wall. Hopefully,
if you agree, tweet me at Real Brad Bell, REEL Brad Bell.
And we just lost our 3 listeners because one of our co-hosts has not read Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. But no,
if it makes you feel better,
he is reading Hush. Trying to read Hush.
Yeah, I've been doing that for. Well, let's see. I've since I started reading Hush, I finished book 5 of Game of Thrones. I reread Kite Runner. I read Dan Brown's
So you could have read
Deception
this in
Point.
like 15 minutes, like all the way through.
There's like the 2 graphic novels that Barbecue 17 gave me. I'm halfway done with the second one. So, yeah, I should probably finish it up. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. I want to talk about my favorite. He talked about Legend of Korra, so I'm going to go ahead and take this moment to talk about
Young Justice.
which we didn't hear nothing as far as the continuation of Young Justice. Maybe we missed it with all the Comic-Con frenzy.
No, if Young Justice
heard
was being
anything about it, which we
talked about.
Yes, it seems like it would.
People love Young Justice, and it's well-deserved love.
Well, there's two things I love in this world.
Mondo posters and Hot Toys.
Mondo posters and Hot Toys. And both companies were there in full force at San Diego Comic-Con.
What about your fiance?
My fiance is...
it's a different kind of love.
It's a different kind of love. This is geek love, it's very different. There's tiers of love, Andrew.
Yeah?
There's like...
Where am I at?
Spiritual love.
Am I at spiritual love?
Family and friend love.
So I'm part of family and friends?
Family and friend love.
Okay.
And then there's like... the geek love, I would say. That's like the 3 tiers to the real Brad Bell's heart. Okay. Now,
mine's mostly just Italian food is the tears to my heart. So
yeah, food's in there too. And then you have that 4th tier. It's like food and career love. It's not that anyone is less important.
Food and career.
Yeah, it's not like any one of the tiers of my heart is less important than the other, aside from like family, friends, and fiance and spiritual. That's obviously on a different
level than geek and food and career.
Yeah, although those are all important to me. Obviously,
food, definitely.
My career, definitely. I will say, Hot Toys Mondo posters. Anybody that's ever listened to the podcast, clicked on the site, knows how much I love these two companies. Even though they have cost me a lot of money over the past 3 or 4 years since I've been collecting them. All right. So I'm going to start out with Hot Toys. Because I say Mondo for last.
Yeah.
Mondo is my favorite. Hot Toys debuted 2 action figures that they've been teasing for about 3 years. One was Marty McFly, based on Michael J. Fox's portrayal of that legendary character from Back to the Future, along with a 1/6 scale DeLorean. The Michael J. Fox figure, the Marty McFly figure is already up for pre-order at BigBadToyStore.com for $235. The DeLorean probably later. It could be a year or 2 years from now.
DeLorean is just a DeLorean?
Just a DeLorean. It's not. Yeah, it's not the flying DeLorean either. From like where the wheels fold under, from like Back to the Future 2. And there was no sight of a Doc Brown. I don't know if I'll be picking up this figure because I keep mine stuffed to superheroes pretty much. But, man, it's tempting to go out of that because Back to the Future is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So it's very tempting to pick up and pre-order that Marty McFly figure. But it was just good along with that. And another figure I'm about to talk about, to see Hot Toys kind of make good on their promise, because they've got a lot of licenses over the past couple years, like X-Men First Class, that they didn't do. They showed a figure for the James McAvoy Professor X like 2 years ago, and we've seen nothing from that. So it was cool to see this figure, then a week later it go on pre-order. All right, Batman Returns. I've been waiting for the Penguin and Catwoman. They were nowhere to be seen. But they revealed the Michael Keaton bat suit, which is different from the 92 suit, is different from the 89 suit slightly, but it surely is. If you're a Bat fan, you notice the differences. But it was good to see something from the Returns line. I don't know if I have the 89. I don't know if I'll be picking it up, but still, just good to see them make good on that line. They introduced the Officer John Blake figure, which a lot of people may not add unless you're a Joseph Gordon-Levitt fanatic. But I probably will, because I've got pretty much I'm waiting on the Ra's al Ghul figure if they'll ever make one based on Liam Neeson from Batman Begins. But Andrew knows, I've seen my collection. I have pretty much a variation of every character from the Nolan trilogy. I don't have everything they've done for the Nolan trilogy, because I do have to eat food.
Yeah.
I do.
You still have the Scarecrow?
Yeah, still have the Scarecrow. Yeah, so it was cool. I was excited with what Hot Toys brought to San Diego. Let's move on to Mondo posters.
Let's move on to Mondo posters.
Well, they started out, I'm sure everybody knows, Batman's 75th anniversary.
Big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I'm going to take a pause just for 1 second. Yeah, let's pay our respects to Bruce Wayne here.
I think you say Bob Kane, but all right.
Bob Kane, who really didn't create Batman. It was Bill Finger, for those of you who are Batman purists. I know he's passed away. He died before Bob Kane.
Well, let's remember both.
But I I tweeted on Batman Day, which was July 23rd. I believe it was 75th anniversary of Detective Comics 27 coming out. That first appearance of Batman. And I'm Andrew. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, maybe you've seen it. I've attached a picture of us when we went to the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises.
Good times.
Good times. And I said, thank you, Bruce, for 75 years of inspiration. No matter who your favorite Batman is, enjoy it, something like that. But it made me think, one incarnation of Batman you have to pick as your favorite.
No,
what is
easy.
it?
It's easy.
I think I know what you're going to say.
What?
Animated series?
Of course, easily.
All right, animated series.
Kevin Conroy, you can even lump in, like, way he went, with Justice League, Batman Beyond. Yeah. But
that's what most people, that one on the comic book resources poll they did. I obviously say the Bell, the Nolan. That's just, I'm partial to that. I've been Nolanized.
No, I mean, it's good. Nolan, they're all good.
But anyway, the reason that made Mondo announced that at San Diego Comic-Con that this fall they're doing a Batman 75th anniversary gallery where their artists are going to do. They said they're doing posters from the Arkham games, and they're going to do posters for other Batman things that they haven't done. They've done a 66 poster that they showed this year at Comic-Con, but us Mondo maniacs are hoping for a Nolan poster or a Burton poster, and if they are, eBay, bill me later, credit, here we come. That's all I got to say, because I'm not making it to that gallery show in Austin, Texas. But
let's go. When is it?
I think it's going to be like in November.
Let's do it now.
I want to go to the Mondo convention in September.
I want to go to RTX in normally July. RTX sounds great, but they always do like July 4th the weekend. That was a horrible weekend to do a convention.
Yeah, I actually posed, I believe I said this to you, Andrew, but I know I asked Jerry, maybe a great idea for my bachelor party to go to MondoCon.
Let's do it.
I wish, the tickets, I believe, have already sold out, and they're exclusive to you. So if you have to show your ID to match your bracelet, and if not, they won't let you in the con.
We're gonna wind up at like a Minecraft con,
which I understand because it
Minecon.
Keeps people from scalping,
like they do the posters,
which is irony in its sincerest form, if you ask me. But man, they showed 66 Batman posters, one by Martin Anson these were all variants they released there because later on the site they're going to release the regular versions. And they had one of Adam West and the Batmobile and Robin's Burt Ward and the Bat Cycle and a great collage poster for 66 Batman, which is going for like $300 on ExpressoBeans.com. Great poster collecting for them and on eBay. But they revealed all their Guardian stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy. And this, obviously, I couldn't get any of the variants at Comic-Con. Those were going for like $300-400 on eBay. Even the Star-Lord one was going for like $300-250, the variant. So, guess what?
What?
As Mondo usually does, the Friday a Marvel movie comes out because they have a good deal with Marvel Studios, with Disney. They released their posters, and they're doing 4 character posters, and...
Only 4? Who did they leave out?
No, sorry. They did all of them. There's 5 Guardians. They did Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot, and Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, man.
And Tyler Stout, who hasn't done... He does about 1 to 2 posters a year now. He kind of made Mondo what they are, in my opinion. Him and a couple other artists.
Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie Moss. Ollie Moss and Tyler Stout are the pillars of Mondo. Ken Taylor's up there too, but I would say those 2. And for the 3 people out there that maybe are enjoying this conversation and got their Mondo posters, please God, have them professionally framed. Push pins keep me awake at night.
Oh my God.
But
oh my God, I never even thought of that. I can imagine somebody doing that.
Well, I got a quick anecdote for you.
All
Good
right.
story, a Mondo story after this. Okay. All right, so, but the Guardians posters go online. Obviously, I'm sitting there. They usually go online. They say a random time at a certain date, the day before on Twitter, but heads up, it's usually between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I get on there at 10 a.m., refresh. I want the stout. I have the cap 1, the Iron Man 2, and the Avengers Tyler Stout posters, all in a row on my wall. Hopefully moving to my new home, displaying proudly in my geek den soon. So I want the Guardian Stout. I hadn't even seen this movie. I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to like it. I don't know if I'll love it.
Right.
And I get on there. As soon as the posters are on sale, I get it in my cart. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get a Tyler Stout poster straight from. I go to checkout. By the way, this was a big run for Mondo. 750 of these, which is a big run. Usually there are 300 posters. Sorry, sold out. I'm talking in my cart, as soon as they go on sale, sold out. And we're not going to use this to discuss the merits of how Mondo do their business.
Why not? It's a perfect
We've done this
opportunity.
had that conversation before. But, so anyway.
I think, I'm just saying, that Mondo does a really good job of the distribution of these posters.
Okay, so, anyway, I'm like, okay, Star-Lord is an awesome poster by Francisco Franchiavella. I was like, I'll go for this. So I get Star-Lord.
Did he do all the character posters?
No, they all had different artists.
Okay.
I don't know the artist on all of them.
Sure.
So I get it. I get Star-Lord. I'm in the process of putting him in my cart.
Okay.
And it's just, that circle of death. Just, I'm like, oh, Lord.
What's the loading?
The loading,
Okay.
on Google Chrome. I open up another window to see if my internet, just Google something real quick. Of course, it's everybody trying to get these posters. So I open up Mondo in another window, and I click on Star-Lord, and it says sold out in another window. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get this poster. I get in there, they're like, it's in-cart, enter credit card information. I got it. My first Mondo poster, not from Evil Bay.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, it was a big moment in my life. I mean, it's right up there with graduating college, and I hadn't gotten married yet, but getting that... There's something about... It's competitive to get those posters. I've heard a lot of people have computer programs that allow them to cheat the system.
Better or worse than Black Friday?
I
love
better feeling. Black Friday is fun because we
social
women go out shopping at midnight.
Man. I feel like one of those coupon people, you know what I mean? Where I have all these different ads playing out.
Well, my fiance makes fun of me because I'm probably a bigger shopper than she is. She don't want to go out on Thanksgiving night. She wants to stay at home.
I don't want to go out on Thanksgiving night, and I know I could not go out on Thanksgiving night, but for the past 6
years at least, Evan Truelove, Andrew Stokes, and myself have been hitting Black Friday up pretty hard. Whether it's getting new video game consoles, new games, getting Blu-rays mostly, but just we can't resist the deals.
The deals, man. They're so good.
But, so I was upset. I didn't get the Stout. Star-Lord's a great-looking poster, Andrew. Sure. You like that. You dig that poster. Yeah. But I go on eBay, and the Stouts are selling for no cheaper than $275.
No problem.
They retailed for $60. And I was so close to getting one. It's like, I bite the bullet. I'm not going to pay for it now. Got a lot going on. But eventually bite the bullet after the hype dies down to complete that Stout. Or do I just accept? Does the Star-Lord mean more because I got it on my own? And I love Star-Lord in this movie. We're going to talk about later.
I mean, I wouldn't get rid of the Star-Lord, but
you would go for Stokes.
All I'm saying is 2 days from now, you're going to call me. You're going to purchase one of these things on eBay.
Oh, yeah, my fiance calls me because I tweeted about this, and she's like, Brad, you bought a Mondo poster? We're trying to buy a house. I'm like, honey, you don't understand. I got this one straight from them because she knows how much these are. Right? She knows how much they are.
She has some herself, or at least one, right?
I bought one. I bought her the Jaws Mondo poster by, is it not Martin Anson? Laurent Deroux Jaws, which is one of their best posters ever, one of their most valuable posters. I spent a pretty penny on it, so she knows what they cost on the secondary market. So here, we're about to try to close on our house, and she thinks I bought a $300 poster, which I thought about doing with the Stout, but I didn't. Quick Mondo story.
All right.
Okay, so...
Oh, push pins.
About a year ago, I was in... Probably about last Halloween. I was hell-bent on getting the Ken Taylor Halloween poster.
Right.
The one with the leaves. which I've since sold. I did achieve that collecting goal. I sold all of my horror stuff. All my horror stuff I sold.
Does that include that Freddy figure with that light up base?
Yeah.
Man.
I sold that was the Freddy Krueger sideshow.
Did you sell your Michael Myers mask?
Yeah.
You sold your mask?
Everything horror. I love horror. I always love horror films. Loved them growing up since I was in like 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I needed to get rid of some stuff to make some room, to make some cash. And my fiance, she's going to let me have the superhero stuff. She'll tolerate that. But she couldn't, she would have let me have it, but I don't know if she wants Freddy and Michael.
Talking about selling your horror stuff, did you sell your Blu-ray of Transformers 2?
No.
No, so you got some horror
stuff. All
stuff.
my horror films, okay. But I was reading about this guy. He went to the actual event. And this was on Espresso Beams Forum.
Oh, for the Halloween poster.
Yeah, they had an event where Ken Taylor was there signing, and he went.
Wow.
And he went to that, saw Halloween, bought a poster. Guy goes home,
No.
puts
A
it up,
signed poster.
signs the poster,
Oh my
which
God.
this thing unframed is worth no less than $800 now.
God.
Okay. Puts it. I'm speechless almost. Puts it up with push pins, and he took pictures and was like, "Oh man, I didn't know what I was doing here," because apparently, like he got into the poster collecting hobby, but
Right.
this was before. This was before he knew his kind of arrogance. And I remember some guy saying, well, at least you gotta love the purism of this guy, just getting a poster, pinning it up, instead of all of us, which salivate over these things and spend a ridiculous amount of money.
I don't
And for
appreciate that at all. I hate when people, something I love, and I'm like, I would love to have this, and I see somebody else treating it like nothing. I'm like, no, like you don't deserve that.
For those of you that don't know, having a poster professionally framed is going to cost you between $100 and $200. It's not a cheap hobby.
That's what kept me from getting a couple posters recently.
Yeah, but Andrew was talking about this. I paid with shipping $70 for the Star-Lord poster. I go on eBay, it's selling for no less than $120. I'm talking auctions ending. It's selling for that much.
Right.
And so Andrew says he may pick up a second job just scalping Mondo posters.
Might as well. I got nothing else to do on a Friday morning.
Now, but it's really hard to do that, man. People...
I got a pretty good internet connection.
Yeah.
I believe in myself. I'm in the city. You're out there, and Lord knows where, but...
Yeah, check out, if you've never, do yourself a favor. Go to mondotees.com. It's Mondo Tees because they've started just being a t-shirt company.
Okay.
And check out their archive. Check out their gallery. And just don't make the mistake of buying and getting into this hobby. But check out some of their stuff because it's pretty cool.
Was it at Comic-Con that they unveiled their Iron Giant figure?
Yeah, they're getting in. Oh, let's talk about that for a
It's
second.
a really cool figure.
Mondo's getting into toys now. They have 3 figures that they showed at Comic-Con. The 1/6 scale Alfred Hitchcock figure, which it was okay.
I love Hitchcock though.
A vinyl TMNT figure that had Mikey like eating ice cream, which was different. I'll give
I
him
haven't seen that. What version of Turtles?
It just looked very generic. It looked close to the Nick version and anything, but I don't think it was intended to be.
Okay.
And then there was a Iron Giant figure, which looked amazing.
Yeah.
Everything Mondo's done, from poster to vinyl to now figures with Iron Giant, has knocked it out of the park. But
amazing, everything.
Yeah. What do you think about Mondo? I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, Mondo's doing toys. I love this company. I like collecting toys. My fiance immediately called me when I posted on Twitter, Mondo's selling toys today. And
You got to stop posting.
I got to start posting on Twitter. I'm like, Mondo's selling toys, and I linked to the USA Today article. Fiance calls me 30 minutes later and says, Brad, no. No.
Did you know what she was talking about immediately?
Yeah, I knew what she was talking about immediately.
That's funny.
So, yeah. But what do you think? You saw the Iron Giant figure. What's your thoughts on Mondo? And you had a very outspoken opinion on this company. What's your thoughts on Mondo making toys?
How much are they going to cost?
See, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean,
they look expensive, but I mean,
are they going to be distributed the same way as their posters are going to be?
He said, I was reading an interview with Justin Ishmael, the CEO of Mondo, and he was saying how his dream is to go into Target one day and see their toys. Of course it is, because it make him millions of dollars.
Sure.
Be mass distributed. But aside from that, he meant this from a purist point of view. He's not happy. You know, you get those one or two nice lines like Marvel Legends or Mattel's DC stuff, whatever. Some of the Power Rangers Legacy stuff now. But it's mostly just, it looks like crap, you know, and he wants collectible figures available. So
I'm not sure how well in Target a single Iron Giant or Alfred Hitchcock figure would sell. Though.
Yeah,
nice goal. I like the mindset of that. Of this
here's my advice to Mondo. Pick 2 or 3 formats, whether it be do like 2 lines. Do a 6-inch line that's affordable, and then do like a more upscale line. Do some 1/6 scale figures. Do some 1/4 scale stuff. And just focus on making those 2 things, because it looks like starting out they're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I just don't know about that. Do a few things really well first before you start to try to do a lot of things.
Sure.
You know, so
look at the posters. They're just trying to make whatever artistically sounds good to them. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I'm excited. I know they're going to do Game of Thrones stuff. They want to. I mean, they started out T-shirts, moved to posters. Vinyl records, which vinyl's coming back, man. Some of their vinyl, here's what they released at
What are they
Comic-Con.
doing vinyl records of? Original
I'm
music?
about to tell you. I'm about to tell you, my friend.
Lay down.
All right, so they unveiled 4 or 5 vinyl records, each with different Mondo artists doing the jackets for the records.
That's cool.
And they released soundtracks to individual episodes of Batman the Animated Series. There was a Two-Face vinyl, there was a Man-Bat vinyl, a Harley vinyl, a Joker vinyl, and maybe 1 or 2 others. I can't remember. But they did the soundtrack to Halloween. They did the vinyl for that. They did the Jurassic Park vinyl. Mainly movie soundtracks.
Oh, I haven't heard about this before. That actually sounds amazing.
I haven't told you about this, have I?
No, Jurassic Park and Halloween.
Yeah, and Halloween, when they did the Jurassic Park vinyl, they just basically took the J.C. Richard Mondo artist had done a great Jurassic Park poster. They just basically used that poster as the cover, which was when they were kind of, first.
Are these vinyls exclusives? What
You
the same way the posters are?
Like limited
Yeah.
edition. They are limited, but not. And they're not as hard to get your hands on. Like, they'll stay. If they say they're going on sale tomorrow, you got about 24 hours to grab them. And then on eBay, there may be like $5-10 more, if that. But like for the Halloween one, I cannot remember the artist's name they brought in, but they brought in an artist specifically to do the cover for that vinyl. And it looked amazing. Halloween's got one of the best film soundtracks for a horror film ever.
Oh, yeah.
So it's cool to own, and vinyl's coming back in a big way. I say that. I went and booked a million the other day.
They had vinyl?
They had vinyl records and 4 different vinyl record players. I was in Best Buy the other day. 2 vinyl record players. They don't have vinyl records there. And Evan was telling me about, and I've read a lot about these vinyl record stores popping up in bigger cities. Charlotte has one now.
That makes sense, but...
Well, I've noticed a lot of bands now are releasing quote-unquote deluxe versions.
Right.
Like where it's like a vinyl, a CD, and a digital download code for like $40. Obviously, you got to be a hardcore music fan. People are gravitating toward vinyl. Obviously, audiophiles will know this, whether you're in the home audio or music or whatever, because when you compress the audio down to a CD, it's good, but it's compressed audio. Okay. Then you compress the audio from a CD to MP3, it sounds good, but it's still compressed audio. A vinyl record is the least compressed audio, so it's the purest audio you can hear. Mm-hmm. right now. So a lot of people are just gravitating back toward that format of records, even though it takes and plus it's artistically with the jackets and whatnot more collectible than a CD or obviously an MP3.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's worth checking out. I'm really looking into getting a record player and picking up a few of those.
Are you really going to?
Yeah, I really have been. I've been talking to Evan about it. And a lot of it's so crazy. And I didn't notice this, and here's what made me think about. Actually, wasn't Mondo. Mm-hmm. My fiance went and saw Jack White, former member of the White Stripes, in concert, and he recently released a vinyl that has I guess a hologram on it on the vinyl, it looks like a person like an angel is spinning.
That's cool.
On top of the vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. It's like $35 for the vinyl. It's pretty cool when she talked about how she wanted that. And I started doing research and learn about the compression because I'm into audio and stuff. And I don't know. It's just something to look into. Everything goes in cycles, but it's hard to believe it's 2014 and we're talking about vinyl records.
Well, we're actually also going to announce now that we will soon be releasing the podcast on vinyl records.
Yeah, I wish.
You can pick it up.
If we ever get to that point, if only.
Who would buy a podcast on vinyl, though? Because podcasts are typically only good for so long. Some podcasts are different.
They would. Mondo cast.
Oh, yeah. They know the first, they only have a download.
For 1 hour.
Yeah.
If you don't download it in that 1 hour, you don't get the Mondo cast. All right.
What albums would you get for vinyl?
On vinyl?
Yeah.
What would I get? Like a number? If I had to get 5 albums, or a number,
or just a kind of a general idea. I mean, would it just be music, or would you get it would just be music. But I mean, would you get
music?
Would you just get specific bands, or would you be getting soundtracks?
For me, it would have. I used to be big into music in high school, not so much anymore.
Actually, I rarely listen to music. I mean,
a lot of podcasts we listen to.
That's all it is. I mean, I just got a new phone. My old phone's in my car right now, hooked up to my auxiliary port because I'm just, podcasting it up, man.
I think it would be the bands because Evan asked me, what are you going to do? Get these vinyl records and just sit at home with your fiance and just listen to music?
I know, man. Is it the Great Depression? What are you doing?
Just to sit there and not every day.
I just don't listen to music that way. I just don't take it in that way.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Did you ever? Because, you when we first started hanging out, you were bigger into music.
Maybe when I had dial-up. Seriously, I used to listen to music a lot more, and especially in the cars and stuff. And I might sit around and maybe back when I used to illegally download stuff, I would download stuff and listen to it. But mostly, especially nowadays, it's I might watch a music video, or I might put some music in while I'm doing something. You know what I mean? I listen to some current music every once in a while. I just want to, I don't want to hear a podcast. I want to hear music. So. But it's only when I'm driving or when I'm, cleaning during the house or even I'm doing homework or something sometimes. I just don't sit and listen to music. It's very rare that happens. It happens maybe if I have a song stuck in my head and I'm just trying to remember a lyric or something.
Well, an album I thought about getting is something like this makes me want to get a vinyl. Abby and I are going to see Soundgarden in Charlotte. And in high school, when I did listen to music, I liked those grunge-type bands. And they just released Soundgarden, one of their best albums is Super Unknown. And it's the 20th anniversary of that album, and that's why they're going on tour. Mm-hmm. And they released a deluxe set of it. So I'd get something like that. It had to be something special, albums I really like. I can't imagine just a new Katy Perry or Lorde album comes out, and I'm going to get vinyl now. I'm going to get it would just have to be albums I really liked in high school, and
songs about Jane. That's a good album.
It has to be I don't know. I guess you listen to whatever you want to on vinyl, whatever your taste.
If I want to listen to Maroon 5, I'll listen to Maroon 5 all day long.
That wouldn't be bad, but
it's a good album.
I was surprised, Andrew. I kid you not. Until about a month ago, I didn't realize modern artists are releasing stuff on vinyl. Like Ed Sheeran, his latest CD.
Yeah.
I walked in Books A Million last night. It was there on vinyl. The CD came out like this year.
Sure.
You know, I thought like you would go back and see like AC/DC, Pink Floyd, those type like were on vinyl, still being released in vinyl. But I didn't know it was a current thing. You know what I mean?
Books A Million's a struggling business right now, right?
Maybe that's why.
Just wondering.
Maybe that's why.
Well, I mean, whatever. You gotta compete somehow. I don't know if Amazon's
I'm not
a game yet.
And we're not the authority on this. You know,
vinyl records.
Yeah,
that's for God.
Or music in general.
When I was growing up, though, my parents had some old records. I remember.
Did they play them?
Oh yeah, but I'm trying. I think there was like a Michael Bolton. I want to say one was like a Michael Bolton. I used to love that Birds Fly song. And I forget what they were now. I wonder if they still have them somewhere.
What type of music were you into in high school?
Just rock and pop, basically.
Really?
But I mean, some of it's like I can't think of a specific band, but some of it's just like some music just doesn't hold up. You know what I mean? Like I like like Offspring and stuff that's still good today.
That's still good.
Yeah, but then I'm sure there's like other things that I can't think of anything off the top of my head. There's probably a reason for that.
I believe it was when I was a senior in high school.
Linkin Park
still holds up a
Sure,
little.
I'm just saying, but Linkin Park was
They're
one.
coming to Charlotte in the fall.
I know. I thought about inviting. Steve-O.
Yeah.
Huge. That boy loves Linkin Park.
All right, we're getting off on random music tangents here, but when I was a senior in high school, Green Day, American Idiot, that album came out that year.
And when American Idiot was on that Madden game, I remember popping Madden and American Idiot started playing, and man,
that was
good stuff.
The thing is, like, rock albums like that don't come around much anymore because it was very a big commentary on the time, the Iraq War, the Bush presidency. It was a great punk rock album.
What's that Beastie Boys, the Brooklyn one?
No Sleep Till Brooklyn?
No. There was one where Check It Out was on there. I can't remember what it was called.
The album?
But yeah, the album where Check It Out was on there. I forget what it was called.
That was a good album, but I can't remember the name of it. But I was lucky enough, when I was a senior in high school, my grandmother, for my birthday, got me floor seats to the Green Day American Idiot tour. And it was amazing. I used to be big into music. The problem is my fiance loves music. I mean, she will literally just put on a CD and listen to it and just sit there on her computer or drink wine or coffee or whatever.
I don't know.
And we were talking, and I tried to tell her, she's like, why don't you like music as much? And I was like, well, I used to in high school, but it's just the fact that the bands that I like are not actively touring or actively putting out CDs. I don't feel like it's something I can keep up with.
Right.
So while it's there and I love it, it's just hard to follow.
Van Halen's first album. I would buy that sucker on vinyl.
My dad saw Van Halen in high school.
I almost could have seen them once, and I just didn't. I don't know why. I was younger at the time.
Well, my regret is I had a chance to see Pearl Jam in Columbia, South Carolina, and I didn't go. They're still touring. I hope they come back. But, okay, I like Soundgarden. They're doing a tour because they had a 20-year CD. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see Nirvana in concert. That's a band I really like.
Right.
I want to see Foo Fighters. Abby saw them. So it's just the fact of not being able to follow those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was trying to do a lot of different things this summer. One of the things I wanted to do was go to a concert. There just wasn't a concert coming that I was really that interested in.
I think about going. Summer's still got a few weeks left. We're going to see Soundgarden, and obviously you're working this night. I didn't invite you to it, but
what a jerk.
Me and Evan and some other guys.
Vacation time.
Motley Crue farewell tour.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to that.
Exactly. So I didn't even ask.
I'll be honest. I can't think of a single song.
Girls, girls, girls.
Okay, there you go.
Smoke. You didn't know that? Did you know that?
I really didn't know. I know the song. Yeah, I know the song, but I would never. If I was on Jeopardy right now,
Home Sweet Home. I'm on my way. Home Sweet don't know that? I hope we
Sounds
don't have to pay.
like
We won't have to pay a royalty to Nikki Sixx for that one.
In the 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds.
Smoking in the boys' room. That's another big one. It's late, but I know they're not the greatest.
Sure.
Of
I'm not trying to say
bands,
anything. I'm just saying. I was saying I'm not in second.
Jerry saw Kiss like 3 weeks
Kiss and
ago.
who else? Who was there?
Def Leppard.
yeah.
Which that would have been a
But
good
still,
show
I
to see.
wouldn't have. If somebody gave me a free ticket, sure, but
Dr. Feelgood. That's another. You know Dr. Feelgood? That's Motley Crue.
I've heard of it.
All right, so that's another big one. This surprising musical conversation is actually a great segue to a film that we're about to review that had one of the best soundtracks that I've heard in a long time.
Walk Hard?
That was a good soundtrack, too. And it had John C. Reilly like this film does. It's
That's
from
another segue for you there.
director James Gunn. It's Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nah.
Yeah. Hey, cool, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
Star-Lord.
Who?
Well, Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Forget it.
We arrested these 5 on Xandar. Check out the rap sheets. Drax, a.k.a. the Destroyer. Since his wife and family were killed, he's been on a rampage across the galaxy in a search for vengeance. Gamora, soldier, assassin, wanted on over a dozen counts of murder. Rocket, wanted on over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escape from lockup.
What the hell?
Groot, he's been traveling recently as Rocket's personal houseplant / muscle. Peter Jason Quill. He's also known as Star-Lord.
Who calls him that?
Himself, mostly. He's wanted largely on charges of minor assault, public intoxication, and fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What a bunch of a-holes.
So, Andrew Stokes, I'm going to open up this review with just 2 general questions.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure I know what the answer to one of them is going to be. Number 1, what are your experience with the Guardians of the Galaxy and these characters? Mm-hmm. You know, each individual one, however you want to tackle the question. And what were your expectations coming into this movie based on trailers and word of mouth and whatnot?
Rocky Raccoon is probably the only member I'd really heard of before, in that he's just kind of one of those obscure characters that people love to kind of call out. So I'd heard of him before. Really, the only experience with Guardians that I have is they showed up on an episode of Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Which is a great Avengers cartoon.
Great.
It's on Netflix.
No Avatar: Last Airbender, Young Justice, but, you know, for the Avengers, it's good. That's basically it.
What about going into this? Because a lot of people, some were proclaiming it the downfall of Marvel, and True Love. Others were, really hyped about it. I mean, where were you at?
Everyone's hyped about it. I mean, everyone I've talked to has been hyped about this movie. I was like, somebody at work today. I worked for a couple hours, and there was a girl there who was just like, oh, she really wished she was getting off earlier so she could come watch this movie and stuff. So, I was super hyped for it. I do think, though, we talked about this, I don't know if on the podcast or not, but they've been advertising this movie for so long.
That's some marketing juggernaut.
They've been advertising this movie way before other movies that had already come and gone this summer. You know what I mean? And it's like, I finally got to a point where I was almost burnt out on the movie before I even saw it. It was just kind of like, is it here yet? Like, I'm just ready to see this movie. You know what I mean? And people kept talking about it. But really, it's like the first time the cast doing their press rounds and like talk shows and stuff actually got me kind of hyped up for the movie.
Yeah.
And I was really excited going in. Barbecue 17 had already seen it when you and I went to watch it. Another friend of mine had seen it. The reviews were in. They were great.
Rotten Tomatoes.
So I was expecting a lot. I was hoping for a lot. So now, what about you?
Well, I mean, I went in, as far as my being familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my friends read the Dan Abnett run of this comic like in 2003. I never read it. He always loved these characters. I was like, who gives a crap about them when you got Iron Man and Captain America? And sitting here looking at I read a lot of the, not a lot, I'm talking about like 6-7 issues of the Marvel Now stuff, so I'm kind of familiar with, alright, this is the origin of Star-Lord, this is where Drax is coming from, whatnot. Sure. But not too familiar with them. So, yeah, I'm kind of like you, kind of like most of America. I know a little bit about them, not a lot, not like I do a Cap or Iron Man or anything.
Sure.
As far as seeing this film, first trailer came out, I was like, wow, looks like it's something different. Now, is that something different going to be to Marvel's detriment? Or is it going to be like, hey, they finally did, because people criticize them, Avengers and Cap 2, especially before Captain America 2, of kind of doing these cookie-cutter movies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that's what this was going to be. I was listening to another podcast, and he said the 3 steps of Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 1, put the Marvel Studios logo in front of the film.
It's good
Number
start.
2, paint a washed-up wrestler green.
I have.
Step 3, print money.
I don't understand. I don't think, one, I don't consider Batista a washed-up wrestler. And 2, I don't think he was the highlight of this film. You had Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Chris Pratt is a big name to some. Like, I don't think Dave Bautista was a draw. Like, I mean, he was good. He was great in the film, I thought. And I like him just fine, but I don't know. What website was this?
This is Brad and Laramie on Movies from the Rope of Silicon website.
What the hell is that?
They're very pretty. They're not as big as Slash Film, but they're like a decent film blog.
Okay.
So I mean, they're legit. I enjoy their podcast.
They sound legit off of that list.
They're smart guys, a bit pretentious at times, but they know their stuff.
Are they the ones charging for the podcast now?
They charge. They do 2 podcasts. They do a Tuesday podcast for free and a premium podcast, which I'm not a subscriber to. You got to pay $3 a month.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll say, I saw the first trailer.
Right.
I was excited. It looked different. I knew the potential of these characters based on the brief 7 or 8 comics I had read and based on what my friends who know these characters have read. So I knew how much of a star in the making, Moneyball, which he didn't have a big role. I believe he played Kevin Youkilis. Chris Pratt was in Zero Dark 30. I just saw this guy, Lego movie, just kind of coming into his own at just the right time, you know? And, but then the reviews started coming in, which was overwhelming. And this thing set at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes for a while, dropped down to 91, stabilized at 92.
It's pretty good for a movie where people were walking out of the preview. Yeah,
there was a report on Slash Film in which they screened 15 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And I believe we talked about this on a previous episode.
The credits or something?
They said some people were cheering. Some people walked out in confusion. That was what
they must have been confused.
The story
they must have been confused because they were walking out. Like
they might have been confused. They must have been in the wrong theater. They thought they were seeing Transformers or something. But
man, walking out. I still can't believe that.
I was reading through. I love Rotten Tomatoes because the reviews are so short. On there. And I'm reading one that said, truly is, and this was used on a lot of marketing material, it says, truly is the Star Wars of this generation. Okay.
High praise.
Then I read, and we talked a lot about music on this podcast, so this is appropriate. It said, the guy wrote a review, I don't know where it was at, it may have been in Seattle, ironically. He said that this film, Guardians of the Galaxy, does for superhero movies what grunge did for rock. It just, something new, refreshed it, when it was dying, a new pulse into it. And I was like, okay, so here in my head going into this film, I'm thinking Pearl Jam, Nirvana meets Star Wars, and guess what? It almost was that. It almost was that good.
So you don't think it was the Star Wars of our generation?
I don't think... That's too early to tell. You know,
Sure, I agree with
One of
that.
the things that Jerry and I talked about as far as this being compared to Star Wars is, and I agree with Barbecue 17 on this, is it feels like not every character, but 80% of the characters in this movie, aside from the main ensemble, could be explored in, if not fan fiction, then in some kind of expanded universe.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Collector, whether it's John C. Reilly, whether it's the guy who ran the antique shop.
There was a lot of there's multiple people shown that had like this pink skin. I left the theater wondering, who are these pink skinned people? Like, what is this race? You know what I mean? And that's not usual for a Marvel property.
And they went
to
to
get me thinking-
several planets, and being
Yeah.
kind of the Star Wars geek I am, I thought, this planet has a backstory, that planet has a backstory,
Yeah.
I wonder what it is. And the Nova Corps was in there. I know them from the comics.
Yeah.
Kree were in there. I know them from the comics. But they barely touched on that. Skrulls were not in this. That's not a spoiler, I don't think. There was
No, what? Not Skrulls. What's her name? Chitauri in this
Yeah,
in
no
the cinematic
Chitauri.
universe.
No Chitauri played a prominent role in this film.
No.
And there was a lot of stuff that I'm going to bring up in spoilers just to be safe that I was surprised that they didn't touch on. But to make that assessment, too, is that this would be Star Wars if there hadn't been a Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was that good. It's kind of like, reminds me of Jerry and I when we were talking about The Conjuring last summer. If The Conjuring comes out before The Exorcist, The Conjuring is The Exorcist. You know, it is. It's like, it was that good. It was on par with The Exorcist, but it didn't transcend that much. You know, that kind of possession subgenre of horror.
Sure.
Whereas I feel like this didn't transcend science fiction fantasy.
Yeah.
But it transcended it a bit with the clever comedy it interjected, I guess, in a way, but not to the point where I'm like, I don't think it's going to have the impact on the culture landscape that Star Wars had in 1977.
We'll see.
It's too early to see.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, but I mean,
Big
you
deal.
could see Rocket Raccoon everywhere. I think, you know, we talked about this. We talked so much on Box Office, the Planet of the Apes podcast, but if this movie stays number one next week, and then the next week,
That's a tall
if
order.
it stays number one through Ninja Turtles and Expendables, and, well, you know you have something special on your hands then, you know? So we'll just have to see.
10 years from now, trees won't even be in our language anymore. We'll just call them roots.
So we talked about, and this is going to be a movie full of comparisons. So I was thinking about what does this film remind me of? And there were three things I thought walking away from the theater. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chris Pratt was Indiana Jones, his character Andy from Parks and Rec, and Han Solo put in a blender. That's what Star-Lord was, Peter Quill was to me in this film. But this film reminded me of, especially from the opening scene, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Jerry said the same thing, so I'm kind of echoing his sentiment here. Raiders, Star Wars, obviously, and Avengers, with the other little bit its own thing. And that is hard. It's hard to be your own thing, you know?
Yeah. For me, a good comparison would be the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. Definitely had that feel to me. Had that feel to it to me.
It was funny, but it was funny when it needed to be.
Right.
And it was serious, and it had, as much as I would overuse this cliche, it had emotional stakes when it needed
Yeah,
to.
heart and stakes.
Let's just talk about some of this. One of the things I was impressed with is, I'm sitting here thinking, Groot and Rocket are probably like CG people walking around in like an Andy Serkis type suit or something.
Right.
And the chemistry, just from a conversational standpoint, that Pratt, Batista, and Zoe Saldana had with those two characters, it was like they were there, man.
Yeah.
And that's not, you know, you see Andy Serkis interact with people like that with ease, but that's not something that's easily done,
No.
you know? And so that was something that really stuck out to me. All the characters were really fleshed out. I felt like, obviously, Chris Pratt steals the show. but he doesn't hog the show. If you know what I mean,
not. It's definitely an ensemble.
It is an ensemble, and everybody has their moment to shine. Everybody has a meaning and a purpose within the context of this film story.
Yeah.
And with Gamora, maybe she wasn't done poorly, but I feel like maybe she was the least kind of fleshed out of all the characters.
But I think like Batista's character was a little like almost one note. Like, they fleshed him out, but it was kind of like a cliche kind of backstory. You know what I mean? Batista's character, yeah, Drax the Destroyer.
Yeah,
he's still a cool character. But
his backstory was very similar to how it was in the comics.
And there's some like Rocket Raccoon where it's like, you know, there's more to the story than what we got. We got a taste of what his backstory is. So.
I brought up that other podcast, Brad and Lermy on movies, and somebody asked those guys percent chance. They do percentages, percent chance that there'll be a Rocket Raccoon and Groot movie.
Yeah,
they said 3%. I would say more like 70% with the way Marvel Studios is. Yeah. There's so much you would like to know, and that kind of was that Star Wars element of that.
I will say, too, I'm not going to spoil it because I'm glad this wasn't spoiled for me, but the opening to this film was probably the best opening of any Marvel film I've seen.
Very different and set the tone.
Yeah. It's a very... especially if coming into this movie, you think you have an idea of what the tone of this movie is.
Yes.
And it blew me away. It was really good.
I think you kind of... Based on the trailers and everything you've seen, you had an idea of, I know what the opening scene of this movie is going to be, and it wasn't that. And it subverted my expectations.
Yeah.
And a lot of Marvel movies have been good, but it's been, all right, didactical and not subverted my expectations. It's been cookie-cutter filmmaking.
Yeah. This
was not cookie-cutter filmmaking.
No.
We'll rank this at the end when we give our rating, but let's talk about why we're not in spoilers yet, and we'll get to spoilers here in a sec.
Okay.
The soundtrack to this movie.
Yeah.
Not in a long time. I think maybe since Daredevil came out and that Evanescence song was on the Daredevil soundtrack.
Yeah.
But I don't remember in a while since like high school, at least, or middle school, walking out of the theater and being like, I would like to own the soundtrack to that movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It's just, you don't have the heavy hitters here. It's not the Beatles or the Stones or, what have you, or Metallica or some major mega band, so they didn't have to pay a ton in royalties.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 pops up. But this soundtrack and the way the sound... The way it's used, which we can get into in spoilers more in depth, but Chris Pratt has this Walkman he carries around. And that's him playing that in certain scenes in the movies, how the soundtrack is used. And it has a decent score. There's a score, but the score is not what's important. It's those soundtracks.
Yeah. It was interesting the way they used it.
And most Marvel, if you told me, you're going to have like an old school soundtrack in a superhero movie, I'd have been like...
It's pretty cliche. That sounds pretty cookie cutter to me.
Okay, was A Kiss from a Rose from Seal going to show up in here like it did in Batman Forever? But no, used so effectively. And in fact, to get into some of the specifics of that soundtrack, let's go ahead and roll the reel forward to spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy. Spoilers for Guardians starting now. So that soundtrack that we love so much, the way it's used, Andrew Stokes, is that opening scene. So I know it touched you. Talk about it a little bit. Talk about that opening scene.
I mean, the opening scene takes place in a hospital in the 80s. And it's kind of like it wasn't a typical Marvel opening. I guess you would call it cold opening.
Yeah.
And it happened pre like that Marvel flip thing that they do.
Yeah.
And it was Star-Lord's mother dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And just, it's just, I mean, you've seen it. Hopefully you've seen it if you're at this part. I mean, it's a very emotional scene.
Something you don't I would expect this in maybe like a Nolan Batman movie, something this emotional or something. But something
right off the bat, man.
I don't expect this with the kind of precedent that Marvel Studios has set with a little bit of fluff.
Yeah, and especially, again, the you think you know what you're going into with this, with the trailers and stuff, and it was a little bit of emotion at the beginning.
I said earlier, you expect that scene where
He's getting the orb.
to be the opening scene, which it was after that.
Right.
But this was, like you said, a very good cold open. But,
And it explains how that he's a human in space, which I think is an important part of his character, too.
Well, the reason this music is important to him is his mom it was songs that she liked, and she made him these mixtapes in the 80s. And I'm talking like the Pina Colada song, Jackson 5,
Ooga chugga, ooga chugga.
Not crazy stuff that they had to pay insane royalties for, like we said earlier. But let's talk about Ronan the Accuser.
Man, what a badass!
He was, and he was a badass because I'm thinking, all right, Thanos, he's going to be in this, but not really, But man, they had, for this to work, to be the epic film that everybody was saying it was, you have to have that great antagonist, and Ronan was that. Very good performance. Every time he was on screen, he captivated the audience. He was powerful, yes, and Gamora was serving to him. Then you had Nebula, who were both daughters of Thanos. I like how they spun that. But I want to spin the Ronan the Accuser plot line into when we finally get to see Thanos. Because this revealed that the Accuser is working for Thanos. And he goes to that exact spot that we see Loki go to at the beginning of the first Avengers film. Mm-hmm. And we see Thanos, the Mad Titan, with Josh Brolin playing Thanos.
It was so cool.
And it lived up to the hype.
And it was Thanos, too. They didn't try to, mainstream this. You know what I mean? It's not like Hawkeye in his Ultimates costume getting rid of, the purple H on his forehead and stuff. This was Thanos.
And I like how they build up Ronan as this, like you said, flat out, he's a badass. Somebody who's, not to be trifled with, not going to be an easy out for whatever superhero team he goes with, much less a band of misfits, some people that's new at doing this. And he looks small compared to Thanos. I'm not talking about stature-wise, I'm talking about scope of character.
Yeah.
Thanos puts fear into him to a certain extent. We also see the return of Benicio del Toro as the Collector in this, which has a big play in the post-credit scene. We'll talk about it a little later. But, it's cool to see that he's collecting the Infinity Gems here. And obviously, that orb that Pratt's still in at the beginning, that's an Infinity Gem. And to clear up the Infinity Gems at this point, the orb in this movie, the orb, the ether from Thor 2.
I don't believe that's also. I believe the only confirmed ones are the orb,
okay,
the Tesseract.
Yes,
I think those are maybe the only two confirmed ones.
I thought, and the other two are
the ether and the staff.
The gem and Loki's staff.
The gem and Loki's staff and the ether, I believe, rumored to be Infinity Gems, and it makes sense, or Infinity Stones, whatever they call them this. But I'm not sure they were either one. The staff's definitely not confirmed.
We talked about how powerful Ronan was.
Right.
And we get to see the power for the first time,
of
really,
these gems.
of the raw gems.
Right.
The orb opens up, and we see Ronan wielding this gem with just, great power. And you're sitting
no responsibility.
And you're sitting here thinking, what's it going to be like when Thanos gets all of the Infinity Gems? That is going to... I cannot wait to see the Guardians deal with that, to see the Avengers deal with that, to see them hopefully both team up and deal with that.
Yeah.
That will be a sight to behold. And I think even though it may be 2018 before we see that, would be worth the wait.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Thanos built up. What did you think of John C. Reilly in this film?
He was good. He was kind of like Chris Pratt in that he felt like himself, but he was also playing a different character. He had a little John C. Reilly mixed in, but he was just playing his character straight. It was good. He wasn't a big player in this at all. He had a key role, but he wasn't in it too much,
One of the things that surprised me, and Captain America, these last two Marvel movies, Captain America 2 was very violent. It was edgy in a violence way. Some of the jokes they have here are risque. I mean, I know it's PG-13, but they're kind of edgy for, I guess, the precedent that Marvel Studios has done. I mean, Robert Downey always quipping one-liners and things, and some of the stuff he says about, like, performance issues with Loki's staff and Avengers kind of racy a little bit for...
This one that is a blacklight joke.
Yeah, there was the blacklight joke. There's a couple other jokes I'm not going to mention.
But there was, seeing Groot stab a bunch of guys.
There's a lot of violence, too.
The Nova Corps, I'm not sure they were really portrayed the best. Like, they were just kind of a thing that was there.
There's something that they weren't portrayed the best, but there's something that's like, I want to see more of that. You know, there's a lot, I know as a Marvel fanboy, there's a lot more to that. So I definitely want to see more of that. But Riley was good. Man, Chris Pratt, he bulked up for this role, man. From where he went playing Andy in Parks and Rec, I believe you and I talked about how they addressed that. Because he left and got ripped for Guardians, he comes back playing Andy. They're like, "What'd you do to lose all that weight? Just quit drinking beer."
Yeah.
Like, that was hilarious. He's like, "How much beer did you drink?" Let's just say a lot. So, I mean, it was cool how they handled that. And Chris Pratt kind of, I like this guy's talents because you see so many comedic actors, and Adam Sandler's probably the worst, just play themselves. Right. And it would be, Chris Pratt's such a lovable guy, funny guy, it would be easy for him to do that. But
he's done some roles where he's not that level, or level, but he's not that Chris Pratt, like in Zero Dark 30 and stuff. But this one, he was able to mix in a little bit of that.
It was him, but it wasn't him.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a very good thing. So, what do you think of Vin Diesel as Groot? Obviously, he says one line.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean,
he was a lovable character. I think
Groot
that's
was a
the
great
one
character
that kids are going to walk away. You would think Rocket, but I think that's the one that kids are going to walk away.
One or the other, for sure.
Yeah. Groot, it was interesting. I was thinking about this dynamic, thinking about Star Wars. And I know I already compared Chris Pratt to Han here, but...
And Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's Harrison Ford in general, I guess.
So, I was thinking that, to me, Rocket's kind of like Han Solo. Groot's kind of like Chewie.
Chewbacca, definitely.
And then, you totally see that dynamic.
I was waiting for there to be a scene at the end where Groot doesn't get a medal.
You know what I like, what James Gunn, the director, did here, and the screenwriters did here is, I've read some Guardians comics enough to know the basis of the characters.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? These are okay characters, but we're going to take each one of them. Yeah. And Rocket has the best personality in the comics, and that was the one who was the closest to how he is in the comics. Mm-hmm. Probably the most beloved of the group. But they said, we're going to take these characters, and we're going to give them each a very individual personality. Yeah. And where that really shines through was Dave Bautista's Drax. He's super literal. Mm-hmm. It was just... hilarious, like the whole throat cut thing. Yeah. There's a point in the film where...
that touches his throat.
Chris Pratt's like, you can, kill him. He's signaling, like, the throat, slashing to the throat with his index finger. And, of course, he's like, why would I put my finger over that guy's throat? Yeah. Just, I don't know, stuff like that the whole time.
I didn't know what to expect from that character because he wasn't really seen in the trailer.
He's more of a bloodthirsty kind of maniac.
He's a simple kind of muscle-bound kind of guy.
In this,
right. And it worked out well. I wasn't sure how Bautista was
going to do. They wrote that well for Bautista. Yeah. Like, they did not ask him to do too much. It was a good kind of big first blockbuster role for somebody like that, Right. So, I thought that was...
Yeah, somebody coming from a wrestling background into... Because we've seen plenty of wrestlers come into a movie, and it's not been a good thing, Yeah. But, he did... he's right up there with, I think, Stone Cold. Stone Cold did that one movie that...
The Condemned, really.
Yeah, and he was really good in that. Yeah. Batista was really good in this.
Hopefully he'll do some more films. Maybe we'll see. Maybe
Stone Cold was in one of the Expendables, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was in the Expendables first one. Yeah, played a villain in that. All right, let's get to my one disappointing thing from this film.
All right,
post-credit scene. Barbecue 17 set this up to say you will be so surprised. So we're like,
I was surprised.
what's going to happen? Is Ultron going to become self-aware? Is
See,
Tony Stark going to show up?
That wouldn't be surprising to me.
You know, what's it going to be? What is it, Andrew Stokes?
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Small little cameo played by
It is owned by Marvel.
Uh-huh.
And we see
he's an
Benicio.
obscure character.
Yes.
I would say he's less obscure than Rocket Raccoon just because
He had a movie.
he had a film before Iron Man, before the Hulk, before any of these guys. There was Howard the Duck. He was the original Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And you see a lot of creatures. The Collector had a dark elf.
He had a dark elf,
a
he had a
Chitauri, and he had
one of those pink people,
he had a Howard the Duck.
and he had a space dog.
And if you're the 1% of people who love Howard the Duck, you love this cameo.
I don't like Howard the Duck, but I like the cameo. I thought it was funny. It was cute.
I don't know. I guess I expected like a more story. To me, this was the equivalent to the shawarma scene.
Yeah.
Just to get, or the
This
banner.
is better than the shawarma scene as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, or the banner scene where he's counseling Stark.
Yeah.
After Iron Man 3, I just kind of thought, it was funny, it was whatever,
Yeah, it was a
but
cute little
I
thing.
wanted something to progress the story. But, I guess I understand why they didn't, because this Guardian stuff more ties into Avengers 3 more than it does Avengers 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it makes sense. But yeah, Howard the Duck, I would have never expected that in a million years. But Andrew Stokes, I'm going to ask you 2 closing questions, but is there anything you want to say before we wrap this review up?
My disappointing things of the film.
Okay, go ahead.
We talked about the Nova Corps. They weren't really fleshed out too well, and there's this whole background thing going on about this kind of almost racial cleansing thing with Ronin the Warrior and these two groups that have a peace treaty, but Ronin. I felt like that maybe could have been explained a little bit better. I don't know. It was supposed to be a background thing. I understand. The whole Guardians, though, there were points in this film where I was like, other than these people being likable, these characters being likable, I wasn't quite sure exactly why I was supposed to be rooting for these characters at times. There was times, especially towards the end, where the universe is at stake and they're going to do the right thing. But leading up to that, when they're breaking out of jail and this kind of stuff, I'm like, Star-Lord, is a thief. Rocket Raccoon in them apparently aren't the best people.
So were Han and Chewie at one point, my friend.
That's true. That's true. What's her face? Green Girl. Gamora, thank you.
Saldana.
That part was just a little wonky, I thought, when she betrayed. It was just... she was like, I'm going to betray Ronin. And then everybody's like, oh, okay, that's fine. We believe you. And then all of a sudden, Ronin and them were like, oh, yeah, she betrayed us. How do you... I thought that was a little...
Zoe Saldana's a great actress, but she played that a little dry, a little... Not as deadpan as Dave Bautista was, but
I think the romance between her and Star-Lord was a little too shoved in there, too. I like Star-Lord, that's the kind of character he is. I like he's almost like a Captain Kirk type thing. I liked that, but... It was almost a little too much. I would have more liked to see something evolve in the next film as far as they go. Batista was fine. I'm interested, though, why he was in jail? Did he just kill people one day, get mad and kill people? Because we didn't know much about him. His wife and child were killed, and he was in jail.
By Ronan the Accuser, which is different from the comic book where Thanos directly did it. But at the end... Once they've kind of settled things with Ronan,
the buck is passed on to Thanos.
He's like, well, Thanos is the real enemy. Yeah. But 2 other things that I neglected to mention earlier, and they kind of tie in together. The person who originally finds Peter Quill, Star-Lord, is Merle. From Walking Dead. I can't think of the actor's
name. He seems just like Merle, only blue.
He's so like Merle, right? He's good. Yeah. There was a scene where he's talking to Chris Pratt. He was asking, you one of them now?
Yeah.
You going to join him? Is that he's talking to Daryl?
Yeah, he seemed just like Merle. The character was fine.
Yeah, but, he was good.
Yeah.
And they reveal at the end that, and this is a big part of Star-Lord's character in the comic books, that he's not human, that he's half, his dad is actually the king of a planet called Spartax. Mm-hmm. So he's and this king... hired these guys, Merle's people, to pick him up, and they never returned him to his dad, who they said was an a-hole. I'm glad we didn't take him to that guy.
Yeah.
But that's going to come into play down the road
Definitely
big time. Yeah, they really... And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm glad they set that up, but they didn't spend 30 minutes of this film giving us Star-Lord's background as far as from the Spartax Empire, because we got his background from Earth in this one. Maybe in the next one we'll get his background as far as Spartax. So very well. That could have been a very monotonous kind of deal with that. But all right, closing questions.
All right.
Question number one. Well, actually, yeah, question one. Let's just rate it first, because I think that makes it easier. Yeah.
All right.
So what would you rate this? Crap to epic. What would you rate Guardians of the Galaxy?
I'm going to give it a great and a half. It wasn't quite... There was just a little... It was a great movie. I can barely complain about it, but it just wasn't enough for me to give it 5 out of 5. It was fantastic. Definitely go see it. I can't wait to see a sequel. But it just missed that extra something for me that would make it a confirmed epic.
I got actually I lied because I got 3 questions overall.
All right, I got nothing but time.
Yeah, we do. That's right, we do. I have to say, as far as rating, I confirm it epic. I do. I loved it. I thought I would love it earlier in the year. Doubted it. As we got closer to it, if it could live up to the hype, and it really did. I was laughing. I cared about the characters. I felt like they really did a great job of not only world building, but universe building, setting this up, making me care about everybody who was on screen. Now, did they handle Gamora as much as, they could have? Did they drop the ball a little bit on her character? Sure. But it was established. Her backstory was established. We knew enough about her to make her work within the context of the film. So they took a bunch of characters that nobody knew who they were, that 6 months from now could be household names.
Right.
And they did it well, and they did it different. And the fact that it was something that the superhero genre had, which is basically a flat-out genre now, like the Western genre almost.
Right.
There's so many of these superhero movies. There's never been anything like it.
No.
It was original. It was action-packed. It was hilarious. You laughed about every 10 minutes, and not in a bad and campy way.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a comedy, but made me laugh more than probably Neighbors did,
Yeah, absolutely. So I say epic. All right. Where would you rank this as far as movies this summer?
Oh, this summer. It'd probably be number 2. I was going to ask you the same question, but you asked me. It didn't beat Planet of the Apes to me.
Didn't beat. So
that's still my favorite
movie. What's your top 3 of the summer now? Apes,
It's probably
this.
this, and maybe How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Okay. All right. So we still got a couple weeks left in summer movies.
Still got Ninja Turtles.
Still got Ninja Turtles. Still got Expendables 3.
Expendables won't make my cut.
Still got Sin City 2. We'll see if I even see that. Well,
what about you? Where's
summer, I would rank it number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1. It barely edges out How to Train Your Dragon 2, and then I would say Planet of the Apes, and then
crazy. You're crazy.
And then I would say X-Men Days of Future Past, that 5th one I'd have to think about. I'm not including Captain America in this.
Right.
If we were, that was April, that would be number 1 still.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so rank it as far as let's do top 4 Marvel movies. Marvel
4.
Studios, obviously.
I will say I think Godzilla might actually beat How to Train Your Dragon 2 for me.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay. I'm going to rank
Marvel
it.
movies.
Let me rank it while you think about it, because I got... All right. Captain America Winter Soldier, favorite Marvel movie still. Most serious, closest thing to a Nolan Marvel movie we'll ever get. Number 2, this. Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Iron Man 1. Number 4, Avengers. That would be how I would rank them. I'd have to debate on that 5th one a little bit, probably.
This is going to be a similar list, like this last list, but a different order. Iron Man 1, still... First one was still the best one to me.
That's most people.
It was so great. That's my favorite. Probably followed... See, Guardians, we just watched it today. We're reviewing it the same day. So it's hard. We'll see how it sits. I haven't had a chance to sleep on it, honestly. But I think Avengers and Guardians are right there for number 2. One of them's number 2, one of them's number 3, and I'm not sure what yet. And then Winter Soldier is probably number 4 for me.
If you had told me, though, I would have before this whole thing started, well, I would have been shocked they're even making a Guardians movie. But the fact that I would like it better than an Avengers movie,
yeah.
And to me, that just shows the accomplishment of Marvel Studios.
Because Avengers is all this lead up to it, and you just want to see what this movie is, and it was really good.
And it lived up to the hype.
And Guardians was like all these characters were not just introduced in this movie, but almost introduced in general to a lot of people. You know,
I can't wait to see how they've already greenlit a sequel for 2017.
Oh, right, yeah.
James Gunn's directing. We don't know the weekend numbers yet. I can't wait to see how much money this movie makes.
I just can't wait for
it
2 weeks from now. I can't wait to see what happens next weekend. If Ninja Turtles name brand can get on top, or this word of mouth is gonna, because there's people that want to see this movie still that haven't seen it. And there's people like me. I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna tell people that was a great movie.
To me, a movie like this that I believe, and again we're reviewing it. This is the weekend it came out. I think this is the type of movie that's going to have culture talking about it for a while, and that these characters have the chance to ingrain themselves in pop culture, if not for the long haul, at least for this year.
Yeah,
and maybe for the next couple of years. So I think anytime a film can be that different is something to be said. But as far as the next couple podcasts, I'm moving next weekend to a new house. Hopefully, we're going to try to see Ninja Turtles, and it may be late, but we are going to try our best. Even if it's just Andrew and I doing an hour podcast.
It'll be just me. I'll just review Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we're going to try, no matter how good or bad that film ends up being, we're going to try to review TMNT, because it was my second most anticipated movie of the summer.
What a mistake.
It does look like a mistake. That's just purely based on a Turtles movie. Guardians was number 3.
Guardians was
Guardians was my most anticipated.
Guardians went. I'm trying to remember where Guardians ranked on mine.
Hard to believe, summer's flying by.
Godzilla was number 1, X-Men was number 2, and I think Apes was number 3, and then maybe Guardians and Neighbors or something. I don't know. I had a crazy list.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this edition of the show up. You can find us on Twitter at THEpicReview. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/THEpicReview. You can email us, thepicreview@gmail.com.
Do you have any user emails today? Or without internet access today?
Without internet access, so no. But I will say, we will be, even if things are not updated daily on the site as far as posting new blog post reviews for figures and whatnot, I'll try to use our mediums on Facebook, Twitter, whatnot to communicate with, hey, we're going to try to do a TMNT podcast this weekend, or just to keep up, because we do have listeners.
I did that for our our last podcast. I tweeted about it. You can follow me at Cries Juggernaut, CRIES Juggernaut. I do postings from time to time now, so that's neat.
And you can find me at The Real Brad Bell, REEL Brad Bell, where I'm tweeting constantly about Hot Toys, Mondo posters, and Carolina Panthers.
Anything else that drives your fiance crazy?
Yeah, so football season's about to start.
I can't wait.
Well, that's going to wrap it up. Anything else we want to say, Andrew?
Nah, go watch this movie.
Go see this movie.
Go watch it in
Thanks
theaters.
for listening, guys, especially with the lack of daily content. Thank you for taking the time to download us on iTunes, to play us through Podbean. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Keep listening. And until next time, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
So Andrew's awesome animal fact for this week is, according to a recent study done by astronomers, raccoons don't actually talk.